Hey, yo, what up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday as we make the turn on this week. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. A very happy Wednesday to all of you. A big thanks for tuning in. However, you're tuning in, if it's on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available to stream online at sportstalk1051.com. You got your Google and Alexa home devices. Just say, "Yo, Alexa, play WAYY." Download that app. Download the app, excuse me, and you got the video streams also up and rolling here as well. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. What do we have on our good old game plan this morning? Well, MLB All-Star Game is in the books. I thought it was pretty darn good. I thought it was pretty darn entertaining. I don't know about the rest of you who may have watched it and such, but in case you didn't, it went to a swing off, the first ever swing off last night in the National League, thanks to Kyle Schwarber hitting 3 home runs on his 3 swings, leading the National League to victory. The National League jumped out to an early lead, 2-0 after 1. Paul Skeens actually getting some run support for once in his life. Then the National League adding a few more runs in the 4th and the 6th. American League inching a little bit closer, following it up with 4 runs of their own in the 7th, and then they tied it up in the 9th. But it's the National League that gets the win. We got to see Jacob Mizorowski later than what Dave Roberts initially said. We didn't see Mizorowski until the 8th. And actually, when you look at the pitch counts too, Mizorowski pitched the most through for any National League pitcher. He had 18 total pitches, 13 strikes, giving up just 1 hit, but then getting the 3 outs there via the flyout. Trevor McGill pitched right before him, was able to finish off the 7th inning. So I got a little bit of Brewers, although it was later on, and I don't know if I can't be the only one saying, like, come on, let's get to the Brewer guys. But then games started getting really close. And it's like, oh, gonna have to stay up and watch this. And I'm glad I did because I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was a good game. I don't know about the rest of you, but I was entertained. Went a little longer than I would have liked, but hey, not bad for a little swing off there. I like that. First time they did that too. First time they ever got in that situation for that to happen. So now that the All-Star Game is officially in the books, we can start to take a look at this second half of the regular season here for the Brew Crew, as the Brewers will be back at it on Friday, taking on the Dodgers in LA. So the Brewers are going to be getting a little bit of a West Coast trip here post All-Star break, as they will hit the Dodgers first, and then they've got the Mariners coming up after that. So be an interesting test. 6 games on the road for the Crew. Can they pick up where they left off? Can they pick up with that momentum? Then they'll return home to take on the Marlins, and then that big home series to finish off the month of July, going up against the Cubs before we already flip the calendar to August, man. Believe it or not. But with now kind of getting ready for the second half of this season, what is the biggest concern that maybe you have about the Brewers as we enter the second half? We put that up on our post-class and mirror poll question last night, and it was about 58% of you. 58% of you said it was the lack of power. It was the lack of power on the offensive lineup. 30% of you said injuries. And then it was about 12% said you're concerned that the Brewers won't make any trades before the trade deadline at the end of the month. So, for those of you who did vote or did not vote, let me know what you voted for, why you voted for that, or just, maybe there's something else. What would be your biggest concern surrounding this Brewers team as we get into the second half of this season? All right, hit me up with a text 715-830-1912. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Or you can comment on the video streams or hit me up on the socials as well. So we'll talk plenty of baseball here this morning as we get set for that second half and wrap up the All-Star break. We are 1 week away from today. 1 week from today, the first Packers training camp practice. That's nuts. I know we keep saying that, but that's still nuts to think about that. We're going to be like football mode starting next week. But we will continue our Packers training camp storyline countdown as we get set for that. I want to take a look at the linebackers today because I think this is an interesting group. You got Quay Walker back. I think it's a big year for him. From everything we've heard and read and such, seems like Green Bay is still trying to work on a longer-term deal for Quay Walker. They re-signed Isaiah McDuffie in the offseason, but then you've got Edgerrin Cooper. Edgerrin Cooper, who is entering this season, I think, with a lot of high expectations coming in here for a sophomore. And we saw glimpses of it last year, right? I mean, we saw what potentially could be or what Edgerrin Cooper could be. We saw that. And so there is a ton of high expectations for him coming into this season. Do we need to temper that a little bit? Is it right to have those high expectations? Are you a little bit nervous because sometimes you get into that sophomore slump? I was reading Billy Huber's, who covers the Packers, SI.com, and he put out his quarter-century team yesterday, and I'll be doing mine on Friday when Brandon does the Brewers one. He already has Edgerrin Cooper on the linebackers after 1 year. After 1 year, he's already got Edgerrin Cooper part of the quarter-century team. As he notes, with only 4 career starts, last year's second-round pick, Edgerrin Cooper is a starter on his team. Yes, that's a sign of the lack of high-level linebacker play in Green Bay, but Cooper's production was unreal given he played only about 45% of the snaps. He led all off-ball linebackers with 13 tackles for losses. So, where is that ceiling for Edgerrin Cooper? Edgerrin Cooper, is he one of the more, is he one of the more intriguing players for you, Packers fans, heading into this season? And how important is Edgerrin Cooper to this overall team? Like, if we had to rank, if you will, maybe we'll do that. But if we had to rank some of the most important Packers players for this season's success, Jordan Love's probably one. It always starts with the quarterback, right? So if we know Jordan Love's one, is Edgerrin Cooper a top 5 most important Packer? Give me your top 5. Give me your top 5 most important Packer players for this upcoming season, for the success of this upcoming season. All right? Let me know. Again, shoot me a text, hit me up on the socials, video streams, all that good stuff. We got stock reports. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? You can play along with us and make your picks. We'll get to ours coming up just past 8 o'clock. It is Trash Talk Wednesday. So if you want to do a little trash talk to your rival team, rival fan base, all fun and good and such. You want to do that? You can do that. But make it clean so we can say it on the air. Okay? That's your game plan for us this morning. Let's begin things by, recapping a little, I thought, a good night for the All-Star game. Tip of the cap. I know we kind of do our tip of the caps on Thursday, but, I mean, if you didn't watch it, I thought that was, first of all, a good game. But the Hank Aaron tribute last night, that was pretty darn cool. If you didn't get to see that, it's up on, you can watch it as it was shown on the telecast. I thought that thing was sweet. I thought that thing was really cool. Overall, I thought it was a well done, awesome All-Star game. Entertaining All-Star game. And honestly, when it comes to All-Star games, that's what it should be, right? Yes, you want the competitive games. You want close games. You want it entertaining. And I thought overall, it was pretty darn good. I loved that Hank Aaron tribute. That was so cool. It's hard to explain. I mean, but the video that they did on the field of like recreating number 715, home run 715 on 715 day, that was pretty sweet. So again, if you didn't get to see it, didn't get to watch it, go look it up. It's out there. But let's talk a little baseball and with the Brewers, where are your biggest concerns as we get set for the second half, or maybe the biggest question you have about this Brewers team, a team that set the most wins in franchise history before the All-Star break, a team that has been playing some really good baseball. Maybe you're a little concerned that All-Star break maybe came at a bad time and you're worried about this team losing a little momentum, losing a little bit of the edge that they've got. All right, let me know. Hit me up with those texts. We'll take our break and then get going here on the leadoff. We'll be back after these quick words, excuse me. Looking to upgrade your flooring game, whether it's in your home or maybe your office space at work. If you're a business owner and such, you don't need to stress about where you should go and try to find the best deal, because that's Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. They match or beat the competition. If you happen to find a better deal elsewhere, not quite sure what would look good in your space, what would work in your budget, their friendly team, the entire staff there will work with you step one all the way to the finish line and help you find that amazing looking floor that will look good in your space, function the best in your space, and fit within your budget. So what the heck are you waiting for? Go visit the good friends at Carpet City, our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center, 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. Whether it's carpet you're looking for, some luxury vinyl planks, maybe some tile, or heck, maybe you're looking to tile the shower. They can help you out with that too. So just go stop by and say hi to the folks over there. They'll help you find what you're looking for. And maybe you're just like, hey, I need some ideas, not sure what to do. They can help you out there too. Plenty of different samples and options to choose from our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. Again, 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. Let's get things rolling here this morning on the leadoff. Had the All-Star game last night, the National League picking up the win in the All-Star game. It depending on, like, if you go to Brewers.com, I was looking at Brewers.com here, it was like 7-6. ESPN has it 6-6. So I don't know how they technically will mark it down. But the National League gets the win because of the swing off. And I thought it was a good game. The first time we got to see the swing off in action that was first put in place in 2022. But how it kind of works before the game, the days leading up to it and such, both managers have to submit some players' names that they would put in a potential swing off and that. So first time we got to see it, and of course it's Schwarber who gets it done. Pete Alonso was on deck potentially, but no need to go to him because the National League already had the lead there. But 3 swings, 3 home runs for Kyle Schwarber. But National League jumped out to an early 2-0 victory, or a 2-0 lead, excuse me. Then they added 4 more in the bottom of the 6th. Looked like it was going to be maybe a comfortable win for the National League, but right away in the 7th, the AEL, the American League, adding 4 to chip away at it, then 2 more in the 9th, the top of the 9th, to tie it up. And National League not able to get any runs on the bottom of the ninth, so they go to the swing off, and that's all she wrote. Jacob Mizorowski throwing 18 pitches. If you were paying attention to the Brewers, pitched a little bit later on in the game than what Dave Roberts teased us with. Remember, Roberts said by the 5th inning, had to wait till the 8th there, dude. But he went a whole inning, giving up 1 hit, 18 pitches, 13 for strikes. Trevor McGill went right before him, finishing off the 7th. So technically McGill and Mizorowski get credited with holds, it looks like. So, but I enjoyed it. I don't know about you. I don't know for you listening right now if you enjoyed the All-Star game. I usually enjoy, we've have these talks whenever we get to an All-Star game or a Pro Bowl. Which one's the best All-Star game? Which one's the best Pro Bowl? Baseball is the one that to me hasn't changed the most over the years because it really hasn't had to. But hockey made a huge jump with their 4-nation face-off last year. To me, it's either NHL or MLB as the top All-Star games out there. And I still, again, baseball really hasn't changed a whole lot in the style of play because they haven't had to. And really you can. I mean, yes, they added the swing off to this, but you don't want to end in a game in a tie and have the Miller Park, revisit that scenario that was early 2000s and such. So, but no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good game. It did go a little longer. Did last a little long, but they kept me sucked in and such. I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the before the first break. If you haven't, though, go check out that Hank Aaron tribute. That thing was awesome. That thing was awesome. to watch the on-field video stuff. I mean, that was so darn cool. So darn cool to see that. So again, if you have it, it's out there. It's like a minute, less than 2 minutes of video work to honor Hank Aaron hitting his home run 715 on 715 day. It worked out perfectly with the All-Star game being in Atlanta as well. So now that that's all in the books, we kind of get set for the quote unquote second half of the season for the Milwaukee Brewers. What are your biggest concerns? What are your maybe question marks heading into this second half of the season? We put that up as a poll question last night, and 58% of you said it was a lack of power within the lineup. 30% of you said injuries, and 12% of you said that it was you're concerned about the Brewers maybe not making any trades or any moves before the trade deadline at the end of the month. I should have put one more option in there, and I should have added, are you concerned about them keeping their momentum or their edge? And I would throw that in there too. And Pat Murphy kind of alluded to that too. He said, quote, nothing gets easier. We've got to keep that edge. That's why I don't look back and why I can't get happy, can't put my feet up. And I think that's, when you have this all-star break, it's good for the players maybe just to kind of relax. And, obviously with Sal Frelick with the hamstring, good for him to have a few days off and guys to, rest up for the stretch run here. But at the same time, the way the Brewers are playing, you're like, whew, you'd like to ride that momentum and ride that wave a little bit. So I'd throw that one in there. Like if we were just kind of talking about, some more general stuff, I would say I'm concerned, can they keep that edge? Can they keep that momentum going? I'm sure they're not going to all of a sudden just, win 10 in a row. I'd love to win 10 in a row, but you know what I mean? Like they're probably going to go through some downspouts or down, some droughts. Hopefully not too many of them because they're in that race for the NL Central. They're probably going to lose a couple series, few series and such, but you just hope that they don't get so far into one of their what's the word I'm looking for here? But one of the slumps, a long-term slump here. You just hope that this team maybe has that, because for the longest time in the first half, that was kind of the theme when this Brewers team wasn't really quite clicking. And you heard Pat Murphy talk about it, like too. It's like, man, we got to find our edge. We don't have an edge yet. We don't have that, and it kind of looks like they've found it, and you hope that they could just pick up where they left off and continue with that edge and continue with that momentum. So I'd throw that in there. But obviously, too, it's, you look at the power. Do they have enough offense? They're manufacturing offense and they're manufacturing runs in different ways by not necessarily all about the home run ball. But I would agree with the majority of Brewers fans too. Like if that is a concern of yours, you'd like to, it's great that they're manufacturing runs outside of the home run ball. But if you can somehow find another bat to put in that lineup, maybe a guy that gives you a little bit more power, then you kind of like, okay, we have a little bit more of a complete offense then. Yes, we have been able to showcase and prove that we can manufacture and score runs, playing different ways, not necessarily relying on the home run ball because, it wasn't that long ago. A few years ago, that was kind of the MO of this Brewers team. It was power ball. It was home run ball. They were one of the top teams in the entire major leagues in terms of the home run ball. That's not the case with this particular team. But I feel like if they can add, a power bat or something like that, maybe they're a little bit more of a complete offense and hopefully in turn, a little bit more of a dangerous offense when it comes to hopefully a postseason run. So, yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with injuries too. You can't forecast that. You just knock on wood and hope and pray to the baseball gods that the Brewers won't have any major injuries down the stretch. Look at last year. Granted, they still won the Central and such, but what happened shortly after the All-Star break last year? Yelich was done. Yelich was done for the year, and he was having an all-star year. He was a starter in the all-star game. And then Yelly was done. The Brewers still made that run, still won the division, but how much of a difference would it have made to have Yelich in that lineup and continuing to play at an all-star level? So you just hope, you really hope that there's not going to be that type of injury to a main player. I'd throw in it's a question, and it's kind of something that I'll really be paying attention to is how the Brewers manage Mizorowski's innings in the second half. Because, again, this is a guy that hasn't logged a ton of innings in a season yet. I mean, hopefully maybe next year he's a guy that we could talk about hitting 200 innings in a season. But it'll be interesting to see how the Brewers manage his innings going forward so that they're not really pushing it and potentially, overworking him and such because he hasn't been stretched out that much. And I think that's going to be something to kind of follow along in this second half is to see the usage of Mizorowski. This is something they're aware of. They've talked about it. They know about it. But how do they game plan around that? I think that's definitely something that we're going to have to be kind of watching and focused on here too. And of course, yeah, it's now all eyes are on the trade deadline. What will the Brewers do by the trade deadline? Will they do anything? Will they do anything at the trade deadline? We don't know. When it comes to the Brewers, we don't know. And if they do, is it going to be a move that we're like, oh, yeah, that's the move that's going to get the Crew to a deep postseason run that gets the fan base riled up, pumped up, all that stuff? Or is it like, who? What? Another bullpen guy? Okay. Not saying they shouldn't add a bullpen guy, but it's like, what type of move, if any moves, they'll make? I was reading Adam McCulvey's piece on Brewers.com, and he kind of breaks it down to it with the second half, and he had a little section there called with a key player, and he picked our favorite player, Sal Frelick. As he said, there are a handful of dates one can select to pinpoint where the Brewers turned their season in the right direction. One of them is June 12th, when Frelick moved up to the leadoff spot permanently. Since then, Milwaukee is a Major League best 20-7, while leading the majors in runs per game and on-base percentage and ranking second in average. That's an interesting couple nuggets there. But now there's a big question mark going in the second half after Frelick departed Sunday's finale with a left hamstring injury. Murphy said the development made my heart hurt even before the team got the results of an MRI scan. Definitely crossing our fingers for that one, that it won't be a long-term situation. So what do you think? Who do you think is the key player in the second half? I'd throw Frelick in there, and I think you throw Frelick in there too, not only because of what he has meant to the top of the order and his offensive production, and obviously what he provides on the defensive side, but also I'd throw in a Mizorowski. I'd throw in a Yelich because right now he is your power guy. I'd throw in a Contreras. He's got that finger injury. How's that going to affect, his play in the second half here? We could pick out a bunch of players, honestly. We really could. If you even want to make the argument, okay, if Joey Ortiz is going to continue to be the starting shortstop, key player is this dude's got to get that offense production up and at a more consistent level, for crying out loud. Quick nugget here, remaining strength of schedule for the Brewers. 5th toughest in the major leagues, 515. 3rd in the National League. They have 31 home games left, 35 on the road. All right, your thoughts, Brewers fans. You can let me know. Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Let's take a quick break and switch gears here as we kind of wrap up the first hour, because I do want to get to a little Packers training camp storyline, continuing our series there with training camp officially beginning 1 week from today. Talking about the linebackers. Intriguing group. You got Quay Walker entering a big year for him, contract-wise. Isaiah McDuffie back on a new contract. And then Edgerrin Cooper entering his sophomore year, a guy that is coming in with a ton of expectations and hype considering what we saw from the rookie or when he was a rookie last year. Let's talk a little bit about the linebackers as we wrap up the first hour. Coming up after these quick words. Summer is still in full swing right now, and with the kiddos at home, or maybe you still have some family vacation road trips planned up, you need to stock up. Stock up with the food and the snacks, and that's why you should be visiting our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. And even if you're going to be doing a little tailgating, grab some Dan Good burgers from the meat department back there. Whether it's, again, snacks for those road trips or for the kids at home, or maybe you're getting ready for some more backyard barbecues. And don't forget to grab the 6-pack of Man Cave Light in the wine and spirits department. Hy-Vee has something for everybody. And don't forget to check out their team sport, their sports shop in there too. So they got your favorite apparel for the Packers, the Vikings on there, Brewers, Blue Golds, local high schools. They got everything over there. So stop by, shop at our favorite friends, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, one of our favorite friends, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, for everything that you need for your summer vacations, road trips, or just making sure the kids have enough snacks at home during summer vacation. All right. Maybe you are one of those that are going to be heading over to Green Bay next week to watch a little training camp practice. And maybe the kiddos will get a chance to have a Packer player ride their bike in one of the best traditions in all of sports. So maybe you're going to be one of those. Load up with some goodies from Hy-Vee and Eau Claire here. But we continue our Packers training camp storyline series as we are just 1 week away from the first practice for the Packers, and we've covered a bunch of different positions, topics, and such. And today, I kind of want to take a look at the linebackers, the linebacking group. Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, Edrin Cooper is on there. Those are going to be kind of your base starting linebackers, right? If they're in a typical 4-3 base, and I know it's mostly nickel now, but those are your, shall we say, top three. Then you got Isaiah Simmons, who was a free agent signing, a former first round pick, and then you've got Hopper, who was a round 3 pick last year by the Packers. So I would call this an intriguing group of linebackers. And we can start with, well, we might as well start with Edrin Cooper, who's entering his sophomore year. But this is a guy that is coming in with a ton of excitement. I don't want to say hype, because I feel like that kind of makes it almost give the impression like, oh, he's a little right. No, not that. But there's definitely a lot of excitement surrounding him coming into this season, considering what we saw from him last year. We saw a lot of good stuff from him last year. Like Edrin Cooper, for me, watching him last year, he just looked like easily the most instinctive linebacker on that defense. We mentioned it, a little bit earlier, 13 tackles for losses, leading the league in 13 tackles for losses. And that fits that just that instinctiveness that comes from him. I mean, he was just, there was a play, I still remember it, and I remember talking about it last year going up against the Vikings and Aaron Jones, and it looked like Aaron Jones had a wide opening, and all of a sudden there's Edrin Cooper, just filling the gap, filling the hole, and taking him down. And there was a lot of frustration from Aaron Jones, because I think he thought he had, a lot of green and a lot of space for a big gain. And there's Edrin Cooper just filling it up. But Edrin Cooper led all off-ball linebackers with 13 tackles for losses last year. Not to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but I mean, you do wonder, okay, how many times have we seen a sophomore slump? That's not for everybody. Not every sophomore has a slump, but it's always in the back of your mind. Hopefully that's not the case. Edrin Cooper apparently coming in with a lot more muscle without sacrificing the speed that he displayed last year. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see Edrin Cooper hit the field this year and what he can do for this defense. If he can be that game-changing player, that game wrecker, A lot of great defenses have those guys, right? A couple of those guys on their defense. You could say Xavier McKinney's one of them for the Packers. But if Edgerrin Cooper can be that game-changing linebacker, that wrecking linebacker, that feels like how many times have we gone up against, whether it was like a Fred Warner or a Roquan Smith or any of those guys, or, Bobby Wagner when he was with Seattle. I know he's with Washington right now. But you know what I mean? Like those game-changing linebackers that just like, gosh, we can't get away from them. They just keep making plays and they're flying across the field and getting after quarterback or taking down, the ball carrier in the backfield. If Edgerrin Cooper can be that guy, this defense takes another leap. And I think they're counting on him to be that guy. And they're counting on him to be a difference maker. If he can be that, boy, what a huge boost this would be for that defense. And and now going to Quay Walker, I think Quay Walker, he's got all of the athletic talent in the world. The physical traits are there. And I think he took a jump last year. He took some strides last year. But if he could just put it all together now, because there was those stretch of games last year. It was the 49ers, the Dolphins, during that stretch where Quay Walker looked like finally, like, okay, that's the reason they drafted him in the first round. And the Packers love him. His teammates love him. I mean, Xavier McKinney has said it multiple times that he thinks Quay Walker can be the best linebacker in all of football. I mean, that's some serious high praise. It's just the biggest thing that has surrounded Quay Walker has been consistency. Can he be consistent? I think a lot of times he gets caught thinking too much instead of just reacting and playing football. But I'm really intrigued about what the duo of Cooper and Quay Walker could be, what it eventually could be, what it could become, because those are two incredibly talented, physically gifted linebackers. And if it can all just kind of come together, boy, that would be a fun duo to watch for a few years. It really would. Isaiah McDuffie comes back on a contract, re-signing contract. I mean, just kind of a solid, consistent player. We saw some good stuff from him, and obviously is very comfortable in this Jeff Hafley defense. Boston College boy too, so a little familiar with Hafley for short stints when they were in Boston College. McDuffie also a special teams player in that, so a nice depth signing. I know there was some people like, "Ooh, that was." Bringing back McDuffie for that contract. It's a nice depth signing to that, to add some more players at that position, because you look after that. You look, at the depth after that. I honestly don't know what we have with Hopper yet. Tyron Hopper, rookie last year, third-round pick in 2024. A little undersized at the linebacker position, but he's got speed. And it felt like last year was like, okay, that was a pick, to help out the special teams and maybe kind of grow into a linebacker position. But I mean, it's a third-round pick. So I'm curious to see him when we get to preseason, when we get to training camp. I want to see 59. When we get to these preseason games, I want to see 59 on the field and see, okay, from his rookie year to the sophomore year, is there that jump? Are we going to see that growth from him? Is this somebody that we're going to see on the field on the defensive side at all this year? Or again, is he mostly going to get his reps on the special teams side of things? Because we really didn't get to see a ton of him last year outside of special teams. So are we going to see more of an opportunity for him coming in here? And then you got Isaiah Simmons, former first-round pick coming over here. Again, kind of a little bit like a Tyron Hopper. You got a speed guy that, Giants tried him out a little, like the hybrid linebacker safety role. Simmons is coming in, though, strictly focusing on linebacker. That's what Jeff Hafley told him. We're just going to focus with you strictly at the linebacker position. He's a former top 10 overall pick by the Cardinals back in 2020. There obviously is some athletic traits to him. There's some physical athletic traits to him. I'm curious to see him, how he fits in this defense. His spot on the roster is not a guarantee. Just because he has a former first round status to him from 5 years ago doesn't mean he's going to be a guarantee to make this roster. But you look at this group of linebackers, right? And it's definitely different than the good old days, not that long ago, when you had like the Blake Martinez's, the Jake Ryans and those linebackers. These are bigger, taller, faster linebackers now. I mean, we're talking about, Simmons, who's 6'4", about 240 pounds. You're talking about Quay Walker, who also is 6'4", 240-ish pounds. You're talking about Edrin Cooper, who is 6'2", but he's added some muscle, 6'2", so probably about 240 pounds with that speed. Hopper, 6'2", about 230 he's listed. We'll see if he's added any muscle or weight. But, we've added more speed, more athleticism the last couple of years in this linebacker department. And then bringing in Isaiah Simmons is part of that too. I'm intrigued with this group. I'm intrigued to see what Jeff Hafley can do. Now, remember, they got a new inside linebackers coach, Anthony Campanelli, out. He's with the Jaguars as their defensive coordinator, and I thought Anthony Campanelli was a big reason why we saw some strides with Quay Walker last year, why we saw some really good play from Edrin Cooper last year. So it's going to be interesting to see if that continues with a new linebacking coach, with a new linebackers coach on the staff. You hope to see that progression continue. Sean Duggan getting the job. He's entering his second season. He was an assistant last year, so it's not like brand new voice coming in here. But he worked under Jeff Hafley as a linebackers coach in Boston College, so he has experience with that. Obviously, probably worked a little bit with the linebackers as a defensive assistant last year, so maybe there will be that continuity and continued that progression of improvement from some of these linebackers. This is a group, though, that I'm excited to see on the field this year because of the potential that is there with this group. It starts with Edrin Cooper. I think Edrin Cooper has the ability to be a game changer. I love, when Xavier McKinney says stuff about Quay Walker potentially being the best linebacker. We've seen it, we've seen him now for 3 years, 4 years, 3 years. What we see on the practice field from him, we got to see it in these regular season games now on a consistent basis. That's the biggest thing with Quay. What he does in practice, he practices great. He practices well. It's got to translate to the field in regular season games. But if you can do that, man, we got a duo here that's pretty darn good. And hopefully, if Isaiah Simmons, he can kind of turn his career around and he ends up making some plays, boy, that's an athletically gifted room. The potential is there. The potential is there with this group. And I'm excited to see it. I think this is a big, preseason. I don't know how much we're going to see of Cooper and Quay Walker for preseason games and such. But for Isaiah Simmons, and as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Hopper, this is a big preseason for those two guys. Simmons to try to earn that roster spot, but Hopper being a third-round pick last year, we got to see a little bit of a jump from him. He was a little bit raw when they drafted him. We got to see that jump in year 2. Definitely a position group that I'll be paying attention to quite a bit here in preseason and training camp. C-Bomb a little bit earlier talking about the All-Star game. What an exciting end to the Midsummer Classic. I was hoping the AL would make a comeback to make it a fun game, which they did, but I was worried it would come at the expense of The Miz. I was happy to see him succeed in players' reactions when he throws a 98 mile an hour slider. He showed he belonged. I'm a hockey guy, and I loved what they did with the Four Nations. That's more of a tournament than an All-Star game. The MLB All-Star game is hands down the best single event. It's all fun with the best pitchers facing the best hitters in the game, and they are still able to play at a full speed, full throttle, all while enjoying it themselves. I liked it at the beginning of the Paul Skeens is just throwing four-seam fastballs, just powering through, like power versus power, Paul Skeens versus Aaron Judge, those type of matchups that we don't get to see. It's just one time, but we rarely get to see it in the regular season. So why not just go power versus power on that, right? That's the stuff I like. It may last for just 1 second or one pitch or one at bat, but those are the type of matchups that you like to see. That kind of gets everybody excited. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it last night. I enjoyed everything about it. The Hank Aaron tribute was awesome last night. If you didn't get to watch that, didn't get to see that, I highly recommend looking it up. Kudos to whoever designed that thing and created that thing, because that was awesome. That was awesome. To honor 715 on 715 Day in Atlanta, pretty darn cool. All right, just a couple of minutes to the top of the hour. We'll get back to some more baseball talk. We got stock reports coming up in about an hour. So give me your stock risers and fallers. Also, it is a Trash Talk Wednesday. So if you want to do a little trash talking, you can do that. Just make it clean so we can say it on the air, okay? So give me your best trash talking. Send those on over via that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with a quick text. Again, that number, if you don't have it saved, 715-830-1912. Good morning, Morgs.
What's a good word, Kasper?
Not much. How about you?
What do you think is better now than when everybody says, hey, back in my day? What's something that is definitively, if you had to plant your flags, was better in our day than it is now? Like cartoons, obviously.
I wasn't a big cartoon guy again.
You don't think so?
Not the Turtles.
Music?
Oh yeah, 90s music was better.
Okay.
100%.
So if you were going back to your era, what did you do during summer vacation?
I played a lot of basketball in the driveway. We went fishing in the Black River. A lot of biking, which I think kids don't do as much these days.
Okay.
Riding the bike around.
Do you remember during summer vacation being bored?
Once in a while.
Or feeling bored?
I don't know if I felt bored. A lot of chat room talk in ICQ and MSN Messenger too. So,
back in the day, firing up those old chat rooms.
Oh yeah,
because I always tell Siggy only boring people get bored. But I think about everything that kids are signed up for now. I mean, we'll be in Spring Valley tonight. It's going to be another late night. Like people are hustling ball clubs. There's league and there's travel team play, and there's just nothing has a season anymore. Right. It all is bleeding into the next thing, and it's kind of year round and constant.
Yeah.
And I was reading this list of things that kids don't experience anymore that used to be like, as my dad would say, put the hair on your chest. But being bored was on the list. Do you think that kids these days don't get a chance to be bored because that then forces you to get creative?
Because Hudson sometimes says he's bored. So I don't know.
What do you say to him when he says he's bored?
I'm like, he just constantly wants to be doing something. I'm like, Dad needs to take a break.
Exactly. But don't you think that's something cultural now? Because back in our day, I think we actually throttled down for a little bit.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. The second hour kicking off on this Making the Turn Wednesday. We appreciate you making us a part of your start on this Wednesday morning. Hey, go check out wiscotrips.com because you could get on the bus with us to the Brewers versus Giants game on August 24th. That also happens to be the Bob Uecker celebration game. So if you want to ride the bus with us to AmFam Field, Sunday, August 24th, Brewers versus Giants, Willie Adames will be back at American Family Field. You can hop the bus with us, just with your ticket purchase. Get a game ticket, round trip motor coach transportation, tailgate party from Premier Catering as well. So more info, all the info you need at wiscotrips.com. Make sure you select the Eau Claire option on there and reserve your seats on the bus to head over to watch not only Brewers taking on the Giants, which potentially could be a game that could impact some playoff standings, but also the Bob Uecker celebration game. So should be a very, very fun game to go to. So might want to get your seat reserved before they fill up. Also, too, coming up, as you know, Friday, August 1st, it's the 5th annual Kasper Classic. We've only got 2 more spots available for the 1 p.m. tee time, and then we'll be sold out for the 5th straight year. So get on over to sportstalk1051.com and sign up your 2-person team right now for that 1 p.m. tee time coming up Friday, August 1st, a week from this coming Friday already. It's going to be here. So, or just, actually a couple weeks, 2 weeks from this coming Friday, excuse me. So 2 weeks from this coming Friday. So time is running out. But I want to give a big thanks to Lake Cali Golf Course for hosting us hosting us this year. Park Ridge Distributing, Edward Jones, financial advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Carpet City Flooring Center, VFW Post 305, Myron Construction, Dodge Inn, AJM Automotive Services, Hy-Vee and Eau Claire, Economy Furniture, Muldoon's Menswear, Home Oasis, Service Master Chippewa Valley, and shout out to a couple of organizations who have donated some raffle prizes. That includes Chippewa River Industries, Spectrum Industries, awards, and more. Got Packers donating as well. Packer football that we got over there. Economy Furniture is going to be donating a chair. Brandon's mom. And Rocky also going to be donating a couple of things. Service Master is going to be donating a couple of items over there too. So big thanks to them. Also, got to thank Trillium Spinal Care hopping on as a whole sponsor too. So big thanks to all of our partners and everybody who's donating, and all of you who have signed up for the 5th annual Kasper Classic coming up 2 weeks from this Friday. 2 weeks from this Friday. So. We've been talking a lot about the All-Star game from last night, and then looking ahead a little bit to the quote-unquote second half of this Major League Baseball season. Been asking, what are some of the questions, what are some of the concerns, or questions, concerns that you may have surrounding the Brewers and such as we get to the second half of the season. In our poll question that we put up last night, 58% of you said it was the lack of power in the lineup. 30% of you said injuries. 12% of you said the Brewers, you're concerned that the Brewers will not be making a move by the trading deadline. So if you want to chime in with your thoughts on that, you can text us 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or comment on the socials and such too. What is your maybe biggest question mark or your biggest concern heading into this quote unquote second half of the Major League Baseball season for the Brewers, who are in that battle for first place in the division against the Cubbies and currently holding on to the top wild card spot in the National League. Your thoughts too on the All-Star game last night? Did you like the first ever swing off that we got to see instead of ending in a tie? Shout out Miller Park days back then, but first ever swing off. We got to see that last night. I enjoyed it. I thought the game overall was good. So, Luke, your thoughts? Did you enjoy it?
From what I saw, I didn't even know about the swing off till this morning because I saw it like almost up to the end, then saw there was a final, like, okay, cool. And I was going to bed, and then I wake up this morning and go, whoa, swing off, they did it, and it worked. That's good. I loved that the uniforms were back. Oh, it made it so much better to watch. Welcome to normalcy again. Like the overall vibe just seemed better this year. It felt like it was a bigger deal. The Kershaw thing towards the beginning, having him come in quickly and then he comes right back out. Like this seemed. When was the last time we had an all-star game of any sort or an all-star event of any sort in one of the major sports where we come out of it with good vibes as opposed to, wow, maybe we need to rethink all-star weekend?
Probably NHL this past one.
Maybe,
with the Four
I mean,
Nations.
and that was the Four Nations thing. So other than that, you're not, you haven't really had too much of anything. So I think they were in a good spot, and what I saw was pretty good. Aesthetically, it was good. I think the overall image of the sport was in a good spot. What was your overall takeaway? Positive?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I loved the Hank Aaron awesome tributes from him. Overall, it was a very, I think, Major League Baseball, you could pat yourself on the back. It was a fantastic fantastic night, and I think, from an entertainment standpoint, because that's what all-star games, Pro Bowls, whatever are supposed to be from an entertainment standpoint, it hit it out of the park. It ended up being, it looked like maybe the National League was going to kind of cruise to a 6-0 entering the 7th, but then the American League was able to put up 4 runs there and then tie it in the 9th. So you had some drama in the 9th inning to tie it and force the extras, if you will. So yeah, I'm glad that, I know this was a plan put in place in 2022 for the swing off and that. And I mean, it's kind of like the shootout in hockey. So who doesn't like a little bit of a swing off there? And it was pretty dramatic. You guys, the players were all into it. They were pumped up about the swing off. So yeah, I definitely liked it.
Yeah.
So
I'd almost forgotten about the swing off because we haven't had it for a while. But it worked. Yeah, that's the best thing.
Yeah. So pat yourself on the back, Rob Manfred, in Major League Baseball. Definitely worked out. The only thing I will say is that Dave Roberts lied to all Brewers fans, saying that Mizorowski would probably be in by the 5th inning, and well, that wasn't until the 8th. So
did we survive as a nation, Jacob Mizorowski, making the All-Star game ultimately? Are we in a better place or a worse place as a country because of his inclusion now?
No, it's fine. So, gosh. Yeah. But, no.
When do the Phillies play the Brewers? Or do they? Or are they done for the season?
I mean, Brewers already swept them, so I think let me just double check here. Beginning of September.
Okay.
Memorial. That's not Memorial. Labor Day, then an off day, and then a Wednesday, Thursday, for whatever reason. So 3 games in the beginning of September. But
okay.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
That'll be blown over by that point. So, but now into the second half of this season, are your Twinnies going to be buyers or sellers?
That is a really, really good question. They've had 3 series that they've played identically, win, loss. They're playing against some better competition as well and performing decently. Byron Buxton is white hot right now, and is not tradable. So maybe they if they're going to move players, it would be around the edge. It might be like a Yohan Duran, a Griffin Jacks, probably would be the ones to go. They're not going to, okay, I'll put it this way. They're not going to be a buyer to make the move to try to win the pennant. I get the feeling this is going to be it feels like it's going to be a fairly nondescript trade deadline. They might kind of like last year where they didn't really do much of anything, but you're not going to get too much. You can't really give too much. I don't think there's going to be too much in the way of a move here. I don't know that it's the ownership situation that's really holding them up. Possibly. I know that's been speculated that they have to wait until that's finalized, and otherwise they don't want to make any moves. I was glad to hear Rob Manfred said that a transaction will happen, as he put it. Hopefully that transaction does not mean Joe Polad buying out his family just so he can keep running it like a business. But I don't think they're going to do too much. It'll come and go. Maybe someone will go, and that'll be about it.
Yeah, I think that's probably for, quite a few teams, at least for Brewers and Twins. We're kind of all curious to see what the plan's going to be. Here, I was reading a little bit from MLB trade rumors about the Brewers. First of all, Fangraphs has it as an 82.9% playoff probability for the Brewers. So start punching your Brewers tickets right now. But as they said, with the Brewers, Milwaukee is firmly in a playoff spot and should be looking to buy. However, their financial restraints and apparent surplus of starting pitching could allow them to do some selling or some classic baseball trades. So well, it's kind of a big unknown at this point. Don't expect any big swingers though. That sort of thing. So, and then, last week we were talking about the big board from the Athletic, and it was like all Red Sox players in there. Well, and what do? They go and win 10 in a row. So I've got to imagine that's completely changed for the first two players were all Red Sox, like number one, number two. Red Sox are going to sell. No, they just won 10 in a row now.
No,
they ain't selling at this point. So
I think the Cardinals are more likely. Red Sox are less likely based on, and again, it maybe was a 10-game winning streak, and it happened to be in July, so it's right around the trade deadline. So knowing the way the Red Sox have operated, though, with talent, they still might decide to get rid of their players ultimately. It's a weird way that they run that organization over there.
The ABS, by the way, going back, something I didn't bring up and talk about in the All-Star game that I'm curious to hear about, maybe from some fans and listeners and such. But we had the ABS challenge system that was in the All-Star game, and we saw an impact on it too because it was towards the end. We had a few times it was challenged, but right at the end there too, Edwin Diaz, pitching in the bottom of the ninth or top of the ninth, excuse me, and he threw what he thought was a strike. They called it a ball. It was 2 outs, runner on second. He challenged it, and by the slimmest of slim margins, it touched that line. And batter got called out. So we saw an impact with that, essentially. I like the ABS. I know we did a poll on this, I think, a couple weeks ago, and I think the majority said no. I like the ABS challenge system. I like it that it's instant. It doesn't take too long to, it's not like when they do the reviews, it takes a long time. It's the instant, it's the tennis thing where you can see the graphic.
That was it last night. Yes.
I like that. I like it.
When they had Scooble on and that happened right there and you saw the whoosh.
Yep. I like it. I don't have a problem with it if they incorporate this going forward.
Yeah, that was good. That's the you will win over a lot of people if stuff is fast and consistent. So that applies to literally anything in life. Efficiency and transparency work for everything at period. So quickly say, was this a ball or a strike? Okay, move on. No questions on that. We don't really question tennis too much. We question instant replay. We question, ask soccer fans what they think about VAR. You think instant replay can be controversial over here? Coaches challenges, referees, This is easy. That we didn't see, obviously, multiple examples. But if it's like that, that's a very quick way to say it was a ball, strike, whatever, not. Okay.
And for all the people, too, that say, well, it takes away the human error. Not really. You're just correcting the human error.
Right.
You still have the human error, and you still have to decide whether you're going to challenge or not, because it's not going to be a unlimited amount of challenges.
Ultimately, I think this strikes me as the difference from no instant replay to instant replay. What are you doing to the game? I'm sure there were a fair number of people asking. Well, it made the game better, right? Are we in a better spot with instant replay or not? Ultimately, I think we are. With as many errors as there have been, again, I say this all the time. If you question instant replay, watch any game broadcast from before, was it 1986, I think, first instant replay. Watch all the missed calls and oh my God, you're going to be a little stunned that certain games ended the way they did. Want to go back to that era? But now with all of the scrutiny that we have, no, of course not. We're in a better spot because of it, but it didn't completely take out the referees.
Right. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was good. Adam with a quick text. I just got back from a Nashville Sounds game in the ABS system. Calling balls and strikes on challenges was unreal, and I really believe that it should be implemented in Major League Baseball. It is very efficient and quick to make a call, and as you know, a ball or strike could determine the outcome of a game. So,
Yeah.
no, I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I thought that was one thing I did forget that was featured in the game last night. I forgot to talk about earlier this morning, but yeah, especially right at the end, it had an impact on the Edwin Diaz. You know, I mean, you're talking the slimmest; it just barely touched it.
Yep.
That corner. So,
And what happened last night too helped in terms of getting that out to a lot of the public, because being in the minors, unless you're at like a Sounds game, the vast majority of fans aren't going to know how it works. They don't see it in a TV setting where most of people are going to see it. And in spring training, there was not as many people watching spring training. Seeing last night, I think there were probably a fair number on the fence that went, "Oh, okay, this is going to be fine."
Yep. As long as it continues to be that quick, and there's no reason it shouldn't be that quick.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll take a quick break. So your thoughts, though, the ABS, if you weren't on board with it, but you saw it last night, have you changed your opinion on it? What are your thoughts on the potential? Because it sounds like they are going to do this for next year in Major League Baseball.
I think so.
What are your thoughts on this? You can let us know. Hit me up with a text. Hit us up with a text. Quick break. We'll be back with more after these quick words. If you're dealing with a sports injury or joint pain, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is the place to go. Their expert team specializes in getting you back to your active lifestyle, whether it's physical therapy, surgery, or pain management. With advanced care and personalized treatment plans, they are committed to helping you heal right and fast. For expert orthopedic care that you can trust, just visit Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine today. You can get started by heading over to cvosm.com to schedule your appointment. And don't forget, every Friday mornings, we're catching up with Dr. Crow from Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for a little inside the training room. And if you ever miss those segments, they are up in podcast form, part of the Man Cave podcast, or you can check them out individually at sportstalk1051.com. Just hover over the podcast link, and that's that playlist for Inside the Training Room is listed right up there. We'll get back to some more baseball talk here as we wrap up the Midsummer Classic. Your thoughts on the game last night, your thoughts on the ABS system, something that you would like to see going forward. Sounds like we're going to see it next year, but your thoughts, if that was your first introduction to it and such, you can let us know. And then also Brewers-wise, we were talking a little bit earlier in the first hour, the biggest question marks or concerns that you have with the Brewers team entering the second half of the season. Do you agree with the majority, where 58% of you say it's a lack of power in the lineup, 30% of you said it was injuries, and 12% of you said it was you're concerned that the Brewers will not make a move before the deadline. So we'll get back to that and get back to some more of your responses with that. We are 1 week away from the NFL, 1 week away from Packers training camp officially beginning. Quarterbacks and rookies and injured players will report on Friday, but the first practice coming up a week from today. So all the kids and the bikes and all that stuff will commence 1 week from today. So we'll talk a little green and gold here this morning with Joseph this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. First of all, got a question for you.
Okay.
When Hutz is older, do you plan on taking him to Green Bay with the bike?
We've done it already.
Oh, have you?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What did he think about it?
He didn't get to have a player ride the bike, so he that didn't really bother him.
Okay.
So
all right. Did he enjoy it though?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was fun. So.
My dad, and now again, this is in the Wayback Machine, but he took me and it was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
It was an absolute blast. So it just it is a tradition, I think, like no other.
Mm-hmm.
And again, being 1 week away, football is in the air. You can smell it, even though I will say, heck of an all-star game. That was a lot of fun last night watching that. Good to see Miz. Good to see Trevor McGill. Good to see the Brewers doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But it is football season.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot wait. And I came to the conclusion, Captain, that, and you and I talk a lot about a lot of position groups. And over the last few weeks, we've broken down some of the position groups. And I think lately you've been seeing now quarterback rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there was one just recently came out. It might have been PFF's that had Jordan Love just on the outside looking in of the top 10.
That was ESPN's.
ESPN. Okay, gotcha. I've come to the conclusion, the bottom line, it all comes down this year to number 10. I think the talent around 10 is good enough to compete for a Super Bowl, or at least make a deep run into the playoffs. I think Matt LaFleur has proven what he can do in the NFL. I think that the front office has done their job. I think now it's up to 10 to take that next step. So I think I truly believe that Green Bay's playoff run hopes they rest on 10's shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And I just for him to take that next step, because I got him around number 8 as far as top quarterbacks in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And again, it looked like with ESPN, he was honorable mention, so he's probably 11 or 12 because I believe it was Stroud.
Stroud was 11,
yeah. And so I've got him around 8, and I think again for Green Bay to make that run, I think Jordan Love needs to play like a top 5 quarterback.
Do you have confidence he can do that?
I do. I do. When you break, and I've been looking at this over the last couple of years, and again, this is coming from a guy who was not a Jordan Love believer coming out. I was very outspoken against the pick at the time. Didn't necessarily think he was going to grow into that top tier quarterback in the NFL. And the work, though, that it seems that he's put in. And this just goes back to Matt LaFleur and Tom Clements and that staff as far as getting quarterbacks to raise their level of play. It's impressive. It's impressive what he's done. And you look at that last half of the year, 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago, and then you look at last year, and then you look at things like the injuries, and you look at things like the drops, and you look at all of those things together combined make me believe that, yes, he can be a top 5 quarterback.
Speaking of kind of top 5s and such, I was talking a little bit about Edgerrin Cooper this morning. Is Edgerrin Cooper, would you put him already top 5 as the most pivotal players for the success of this season?
Absolutely.
On this team?
Well, look, I'm not in Jeff Hafley's head right now. I'm not in his scheming meetings, but I've got to think that he's scheming this defense a little bit around Edgerrin Cooper. And so when you put a guy in that position and you build packages for him, or you build certain plays for him, or you scheme for him to be successful, then yeah, he becomes a pivotal player. He becomes a guy that you're hanging your hat on. And it doesn't matter what level of coaching you're at, what level of player you're at. If you're scheming around a guy and building up this guy, and the guy doesn't come through, then yeah, you're in a world of hurt. So I think Cooper right now, absolutely top 5 most pivotal as far as Green Bay's success.
So I mean, are we putting a lot on a sophomore then for that? I mean, because I would say, I don't want to get into the whole sophomore slump. It happens, but sometimes it doesn't happen either, right? But I think you saw what we did last year with him. It's kind of like Jordan Love after the first year we saw him with his starting experience. I mean, the excitement is there and such. I mean, are we putting too much on his shoulders, or do you think it's just about right with him entering his second year?
I think based on what we saw last year, and again, remember, he was not the full-time starter to begin the season last year, so they did ease him into that role. And so I think when you break it down and you look at it and you talk about expectations, first of all, expectations for a sophomore in the NFL, big difference from a sophomore at any other level. They always talk about that jump you make from year 1 to year 2 and year 2 to year 3. And I think it's exponential as far as that goes. So, no, I don't think it's too much. I think based on what we saw last year, and based on what other people in the NFL have said and talked about, and the fact that how he ended the year, no, I think it's right in line. And if I'm Jeff Hafley, I am scheming for him. So I think inside 1265, outside 1265, I think it's the right amount of pressure.
This linebacker group overall to me is a very intriguing group. We got Quay Walker, I would say, is entering a huge pivotal year. For him, it sounds like Green Bay, we hear Xavier McKinney talk about he could potentially be the best linebacker. Obviously, the Packers love him. We hear how great he practices. I think there's just a lot of the inconsistency to bring it out on game day and on that field. Isaiah Simmons, not a lot to make the team, but there's this group you got big, fast linebackers. So on that side, it's an intriguing group. A new linebackers coach coming in, though, too, with Anthony Campanelli going to be the defensive coordinator with the Jaguars. This is a very intriguing group for me as we get into preseason and training camp.
Yeah, and I think let's talk Quay Walker for just a moment, because one of my biggest question marks was he in the right position? And so, when you're playing that Mike linebacker, you've got to be instinctive. You've got to see the play develop before it actually gets to you. You've got to read your keys. And I think that's the part of the game that slowed Quay Walker down. I've always thought he should be an off-ball linebacker. I've always thought that just let him run to the ball and make plays. And so, it's going to be interesting, where Cooper and Quay both line up, because arguably they're the two linebackers that are going to be on the field the most. When you go to a nickel package, you're going to see those two backers. And so it's going to be interesting how they use them. And are they going to allow Quay Walker to just play and not have to think? So I look at the athleticism and it's all there. But I will tell you, at that position, I'd rather have instincts than athleticism. If I had to choose either or, I want both. But if I had to choose either or, I want instincts. I want a guy like, who was the Miami linebacker back in the day? Zach Thomas?
Yeah.
So I want a guy like that reads the play and gets everyone else in position. Now, again, you've got a guy like Xavier McKinney behind, so maybe that lessens that need a little bit from that linebacker position. But the cerebral part of linebacking, to be able to just see a play, going back to guys like Charles Woodson and those guys, I know not linebacker, but it just seemed like he saw the play as it was developing. And so to bring that level or to move that up or to put Quay Walker now in a position like that, then watch out. Yeah, I think he could be one of the best linebackers. He's got all the physical tools. It's just now time for him to put it all together. Yeah, that's a group. I don't know when the last time, Captain, that we could say that the Packers linebacking core could be a strength on this team.
Yeah.
And from 1 to 6. And so I think it's been a while that you can go back and say, hey, that's a heck of a linebacking crew and could be a top 5 linebacking crew if they reach their potential in the NFC.
It's a different group than what we're accustomed to. It's not the Blake Martinez, Jake Ryan, run stuffing linebackers.
Even AJ Hawk.
Yeah.
Going back to Hawk at that point.
Yeah.
It really does have a high ceiling. But also, I think when you go after the high ceiling, you've got a lower floor because you set yourself up for disappointment at that point. So, yeah, this could be, like I said, a top 5 linebacking core, or, it could be middle of the pack. That's really where this thing goes as far as ceiling and floor with the linebacking.
Everybody and their grandmother is doing quarter century teams right now because 25 years and such. So one thing I was kind of throwing out there yesterday, take Aaron Rodgers, take Favre out of this, even, Favre few years with Green Bay in the 20 or 21st century. Who would be the next best Packer from 2000 to 2025, in your opinion? I went with Woodson.
Defensive player of the year, Super Bowl champion.
I think solidified his Hall of Fame career with Green Bay.
Yeah, no question. No question. You'd probably put Clay in there as far as in the conversation. But I think when you really break it down and look at that, and now again, potentially I think Nick Collins could have been up there and some other guys in that regard. But yeah, you look at the body of work that Wood did in Green Bay specifically. And I think that's an interesting study. No one wanted Wood but Green Bay. And he was reluctant. And that, going back to scheming a defense or scheming a side of the ball around a player, Dom Capers made Charles Woodson. That was Charles Woodson's defense. And he was the perfect player to play that role, that star role, if you will, in Dom Capers' defense. So yeah, I think you nailed it with Wood. I just look at 2009 and 2010, those 2 back-to-back years. I mean, arguably, he could have been Defensive Player of the Year in 2010 as well. But 2009, I mean, I remember I was at the Green Bay-Dallas game and in Lambeau Field. And,
I remember. I think I know what play it took because I was there too.
It was at the goal. They were about ready to score. Dallas was moving the ball, about ready to score.
Dove in front of Roy Williams.
And just
see, I knew exactly what play.
Instincts. Yeah. The instincts of that play. So yeah, Wood was fun to watch. And it's interesting, Captain. Just a little side note. I lived in Michigan for a while. And a buddy of mine who was a season ticket holder for the Michigan Wolverines. And I asked him, best player he's ever seen in his lifetime. And he said, Charles Woodson, by far. He said, you just eliminated one side of the field when Charles Woodson was out there. And I think he got lost a little bit with the Raiders. But I think, yeah, there's no question. That stretch with Green Bay put him in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, I would throw in, just some other names if you want to throw in Donald. Driver, all the yards. Amon. I was honestly trying to think of somebody from like 2000 to 2007. Probably Amon Green. During that stretch.
I think his career. I think what he did for a stretch run there as well. When you look at a body of work over 3 or 4 seasons, and you break down Amon's, 3 or 4 in a row there that he had. arguably best running back in football
Mhm.
at that point. At least the numbers said that.
Mhm.
And that was one of those other ones that, man, Ron Wolf just fleeced Mike Holmgren.
Mhm.
Fred Vinson for Amon Green.
Yeah.
I mean that. Yeah, you look back at that. It's harder, Captain. Yeah, I think it's always interesting. I think you can look at 2000 to 2025 and come up with a lot of players. I think the difficult eras to do that were the 70s and 80s
Mhm.
because Green Bay just didn't win. And,
Right.
and you look back and guys who probably should have gotten a lot more credit. I mean, I say right now, John Anderson, back in the day, I thought was one of the best linebackers in football. Willie Buchanan,
Mhm.
one of the best cornerbacks in football. The work that James Lofton did, Paul Kaufman, those guys, Larry McCarron, during that era. So I think it's a little easier to look at 2025 and say, yeah, there were a lot of good Packers on those teams.
Mhm.
I think it's a little harder when you look back in the time machine and look at those 70s and 80s and trying to come up with players that deserve to be on those teams.
So, obviously with training camp practice starting 1 week from today, sometimes we see teams, when they get to training camp are really close, they may add a couple veterans, free agency and such. And there's still some veterans out there right now. I mean, if you want to go, maybe a corner like a Rasul Douglas or, even Jadeveon Clowney is potentially still available and such. If they want to add another receiver, I think Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen are still out there. Do you see Green Bay potentially? Would you do something? Would you kick the tires on one of these veterans? Is there a veteran out there that kind of intrigues you still?
Clowney.
Yeah.
There's no question that he is intriguing because I think he's not a one-trick pony.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy, in my opinion, who is really still solid against the run when you look at what he's able to do and can still bring the heat when he needs to. Obviously, people look at that cornerback position and see the names out there. But I think the one guy that I would kick the tires on is Clowney.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that mercenary kind of guy that you're bringing in on a 1-year deal that could get lightning in a bottle. I think the potential there is very high. Now, again, does Green Bay do it early? No, I don't see that. I see them letting the dust settle a little bit more on what they've got.
Yeah.
Getting into maybe some live action, some actual game action, and then pulling the trigger on something. I don't see them doing something early, but he's the one guy that I would go after. Rasul Douglas is the sentimental pick, but I think the logical pick is Clowney.
Mm-hmm. Last question, since we're talking defensive ends and such. I'm not a believer in this thing anymore, but it's the top 100 as voted on by the players.
Yep.
I have to always throw that in there.
Yep.
Rashawn Gary was number 80. And
Yep.
Rashawn Gary, so a couple days ago when I was throwing this out there, I phrased it this way. How would you describe Rashawn Gary as a player? Because, when that's announced, then you have the stats that come out and say, well, he's a top 6 in terms of pressure rate. Third down, he was a top 6 pressure rate since 2019 when he entered the league. Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, and him have the top pressure rates and all that. So pressure rate. But then you look at those guys, they have bigger sack numbers than Rashawn Gary. How would you describe Rashawn Gary as a player then?
I would describe him as a player that will always tantalize, will always show that next step potential.
Mm-hmm.
But the really good ones, the guys that and I'll go back, the JJ Watts, those types of guys, to almost make a play is good. To make a play is great. And so I would still categorize Rashawn Gary not as a disappointment. I think he's a good, above average NFL player. I think he's a kind of a guy that has the potential or had the potential to change a game. At this point, I don't consider him a game changer. I don't consider him a guy that you necessarily as an OC have to scheme for. Now, could that be a lot of different things? Clay Matthews was a guy you had to scheme for, a guy you had to count for on every play. I don't think Rashawn Gary's that guy. Is he a disappointment? No, I don't think so. Is he a really good NFL player? Yes. Is he a 10-sack guy? Yeah, I think he can be that. Is he an 18 sack guy? No.
Mhm.
I don't think he's an A+ player. I think he's a B+ player.
Mhm.
A- at the very highest.
I'm gonna describe him in a way that you would probably be one of the very few that would understand the comparison. I compare him to I how I would describe him is Blake from Glengarry Glen Ross. Coffee's for closers. I need him to close a little bit more.
I totally get the reference.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, that's it, man.
Mhm.
It's look, when you almost hit your goal in business, you didn't hit your goal.
Mhm.
If you're that person that never quite puts your team over the top, whether
Mhm.
that team is business or sports,
Mhm.
you're a part of the puzzle. You're not the linchpin.
Right.
And again, I go back to how we started the conversation. This team will win a Super Bowl if Jordan Love is a top 5 quarterback. Period. End of discussion.
Mhm.
If he's in the discussion for NFL MVP, if Jordan Love is, they win a Super Bowl.
Mhm.
I don't see Rashawn Gary ever getting to 17, 18 sacks in a season.
No.
9 to 12, healthy, playing
Mhm.
it, absolutely. But and again, I'm gonna say this. It's kind of like a 20-point scorer in the NBA. I think there's a lot of guys in the NFL that could get 9 to 12 sacks.
Yep. Yeah.
I think
it's a great comparison.
I think there's
Yep.
a lot of guys in the NBA that could be a 20-point scorer.
Yeah. Yeah, because you look at some of those free agent signings in the NBA, like, oh, dude, average 17 to 20 points, but he's like a third tier, free agent option.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
the free agent that the Bucks just Cole.
Yeah. I know. Yeah,
he's got his buyout.
Yep.
And his stats look great.
Mhm.
And look, I've said this before, and I always go back to this, and it's true wherever. Statistics are like bikinis, man. what they reveal is suggestive. What they conceal is vital.
Mhm.
And so it's if you look at that and just say, oh wow, 17 points, 3 assists,
Mhm.
4 rebounds, blah 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 blah, 9 sacks, 8.5 sacks, 10
Mhm.
sacks. I think there's a lot of guys like that. And I'm not saying Rashawn Gary, to use a scout term, is just a guy,
Right.
but he's not a dude.
Right. Yep. That's a good way to put it.
So
Well,
1 week, dude.
Next time you're on, it'll be day 1 of practice. So
Cannot wait.
yep, it's going to be here. So appreciate it as always, sir.
All good, Lucas. Don't speak so much, dude.
I won't.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I say nothing at all.
All right.
Why am I even talking? It breaks my vibe.
We'll take a quick break and be back to finish up the second hour after these few words. Fire up the grills this summer with the help from our friends at Mike's Star Market. Plenty of different options to choose from of brat flavors over there. It's the brat summer season with Mike's Star Market. Whether it's the Man Cave Light Brat, the dill pickle and cheddar bacon brat, you've got the taco brat, there's salsa brats, there's hangover. I mean, there is a ton of flavors that you may not have enough time to try all of them. So. Or if brats aren't your thing and you just want a nice juicy steak, they can hand cut those for you right there as well. Fresh, tasty, awesome products. Mike's Star Market, west side of Eau Claire. Go give them a visit and fire up those grills for this summer. So we were talking a little bit about the All-Star game and the home run swing off. How about this? So this was Jason Stark, Athletic, and he was talking to Logan Webb, Giants pitcher Logan Webb, a little bit. And some of the comments from Logan Webb, he said, "Is that a good way to decide a game or a crazy way to decide a game?" He was asked. Jason Stark asked Logan Webb. Logan Webb said, "Honestly, I've got a group text going with a couple of other players around baseball, and they said that we should never play an extra inning game again. Just do it like that." Jason Stark said, "So we just fixed baseball?" Webb said, "Yes, I think so. But do you think there are a bunch of old timers out there saying, what an atrocious way to end a baseball game?" Logan Webb said, "Probably. But at the end of the day, who cares?" So, is that how we should now go forward with ending baseball, Major League Baseball, with a swing off like in soccer with penalty kicks or whatever, and hockey shootouts and such?
What it would be.
Mhm.
Okay. It's not going to happen, at least not immediately. But let's think about it. It would get the games done.
Yep.
A lot faster.
Yep.
Now that's not as much of a problem as it was up until a few years ago, but technically it would. It would make for a more exciting ending to the game, even with the extra runner on, which is why the games are finishing faster. So it's less gimmicky. I guess you can therefore cut out some of the unusual stats of 10th and beyond innings of having that extra runner on, because those count equally in the stats.
Yep.
Because you would not count these home runs towards home run totals.
Yeah, you can't. No.
I'm picturing a scenario where Kyle Schwarber hits 3 home runs, 6 swing offs in a row, and suddenly he has 18 home runs in a week.
If they would count that, would it be that far off to say somebody gets 100 home runs in a season?
No.
I don't think so.
Something like that. Cal Raleigh right now, Aaron Judge in a given season right now this decade would get in the ballpark of that, no pun intended. I'm intrigued by it. I guess my concern would be wearing out players. It's only 3 swings.
Yep.
What happens if there's a tie after that? Then do you start bringing up other folks? There is a little
It'd probably be like golf. You just redo it again.
Yeah.
Redo the hole.
And maybe it is a sudden death, which now that's where it gets a little tricky, because if it ends up in some sort of a sudden death scenario, that could be the difference between making the playoffs and not, because we have to go to round 9 or something like that with a swing off in mid-June.
Would you rather have because a lot of people still don't like the runner on second. Would you rather have a swing off or the current rule? Because it ain't going back to the old school.
No.
And we're going to have those 20 inning games and stuff. Can you imagine if there was okay, so then let's put it this way. Do you just not have the swing off in the World Series and go back to like old school? Because it's
extra
kind of
innings.
Yeah, because like in like football, obviously you can't have a tie and all that
extra
sort of
innings,
stuff,
extra innings for playoff games, and
Yep.
if conceivably you could have a 20 inning game, fine. That's how that game is played.
Yep. Regular season, do you do swing off?
Maybe, or this might get a little convoluted, because again, I'm in the back of my head, I keep thinking, are we going to have a scenario where players get worn out trying to swing the ball?
Well, okay, but on the flip side, though, you won't be wearing out your bullpen as much with
right. So maybe
because
you
you're
do
going to have
what-
a pitching coach doing this.
Right. Well, I mean, that's obviously not a problem. But yeah, but I mean, I was going to say what the pitching you're getting is less than major league standard, but then kickoffs there's and shootouts don't
You're literally just
they-
kicking a stationary
right.
ball.
Yeah, there's
and
no
hockey puck,
defense
there's no
outside of
yeah.
the goalie.
Yeah.
Maybe I think there's probably a happy medium of doing like one extra inning, and if that doesn't work, kind of like the 5-on-5 or like the 4-on-4, the 3-on-3, then we do the shootout. Like hockey will sometimes stair step towards
Yep.
that. So you don't wear out the players all the time hitting, because what if that happened multiple times in a row? Do you want Christian Yelich trying to hit home runs 7, 8
Well,
times
that's
in a
the
row?
other thing, though, too. It's like it would have to make teams like the Brewers go try to find a power bat
Yeah.
to be included in that
Right.
threefer.
But if that's at the expense of the rest of the game, you're playing for the swing off, and then you never get there because you try to get that power bat. See,
But
like
then the power bat would just be the DH guy, essentially.
Right.
So, I mean,
But if that means you could have, like, someone at the deadline could do that, but then they screw up and they don't get the right pitching that they needed, or they're deficient at short, or so. But that's also strategy too. I mean,
exactly.
I generally I come down on the side of more strategy. Make people think and make the
Mhm.
smart team should win.
Mhm.
Everything should be as equal as possible, and then the ones who are really good at it should be the ones that win. So in that regard, I'm okay with it.
Mhm.
But I think the simplest approach might actually be go to the swing off. If I had to choose either or, runner on or that, I'd go swing off. A, entertainment, it's more.
Mhm.
B, it's not messing with the stats, and I'm still a little wary of, but this counts here, even though the
Mhm.
setup is different.
Yep.
And we've all kind of been sort of okay with it, but I bet a lot of folks would be ultimately happy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I personally don't like 18, 15, 16 inning games. I know they're rare and far in between and such.
There's
but
lore with some of the historical ones,
Yeah,
but really?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if the players love it that much, we do have a labor union thing
Mhm.
coming up.
Well, and Manfred's thing has been more younger attention.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Yep. Oh boy, let us know. What do you think? Could Major League Baseball incorporate a swing off? That'd be interesting.
Mm.
I really quick, I think they should add a skills competition to the All-Star Game festivities.
Why not?
Relays, cutoffs, accuracy throws from, the outfield to home to gun a guy out. Let's make
Mhm.
this thing a little more fun. All right, 2 hours in, one more to go. All right, here we go. Final hour on this Making a Turn Wednesday morning. Coming up, we're going to do some stock reports. Whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling here. I don't know if you were reading that Jason Stark piece, the whole piece or anything there, Luke, but I was skimming through the rest of it. I'm going to give you a couple of little fun nuggets here.
Yes, more nuggets.
If you didn't,
I did not read the whole
good.
thing. So yes, do tell.
So he does have a little section on Mizorowski. He said we had a fun Jacob Mizorowski inning. The Brewers phenom marched into this game in the 8th inning and was a must-watch as the left field miles per hour speedball board. Here come the readings from StatCast on all of his fastballs from that inning: 101.7, 101.9, 100.4, 100.9, 100.5, 102, 102.3, 101.1, 101.8, 99.3, 99.2, not to mention a slider at 98.1. Those 9 rocket balls in triple digits were the second most a pitcher has ever thrown in an all-star game since we started keeping track of those readings 18 seasons ago. The only pitcher with more, Chapman in 2015, who had 13.
Wow.
So, yeah. And how about this? So this was the 5th All-Star game hosted by the Braves, but here's the weird and wild part. Those 5 games were played at 5 different stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know who the second franchise is?
That has 5.
That has 4. So they're the second most. Only one other franchise has hosted All-Star games at even 4 different ballparks.
4 different ballparks.
Yep.
Ooh. Okay, let's see. 4 different ballparks, and this goes back to the 30s. Oh, gosh. Okay, so they probably would have had to have done some combination of moving or some pretty frequent stadium switches. Oh boy, this really should be right up my alley too. I know I would get this answer right if I really thought about it, but that might give us 4 minutes of dead air. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, answer the question.
You want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead, answer.
Your Twins.
Counting the Senators.
Yes.
That makes
Twins / Senators.
Griffith Stadium, the Met, 65, Metrodome in 85, Target Field 2014.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay,
So,
yep, that's right.
Twins and Senators, number 4. So,
of course, I keep forgetting that the Twins Senators history is official.
Mm-hmm.
It's not much acknowledged, but it is technically acknowledged.
Mm-hmm. So, no, I think it was a big win for Major League Baseball
Yes.
last night.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a really big win. So, and you did see the Hank Aaron thing too, right?
Yeah.
I
it was
was
cool enough what they were doing.
They did a really good job of not leaking anything about, because they kept saying, Hank Aaron trip. Oh, okay, maybe a little now.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
That
that. If anyone has not watched it, watch it. And again,
it's only a minute and a half.
Right.
So.
Most of it is like I said, most of it's really cool. And there's one thing that is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
They did a great job with that.
Yeah. The video thing of them on the I was like, whoa, what is that? Are those actual players on the field? But then the firework rocket thing, that was so cool.
Oh man.
I mean, it worked perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Home run 715 on 715 day.
Yes.
In Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
But kudos to whoever designed that. I want to see more stuff like that at games.
Yeah.
That was pretty darn cool.
That gives us all of us collectively, all of the team's collective ideas of what can you do to do home run tributes and stuff like that. I like that they brought back the old school Fulton County Stadium scoreboard, the way that they put out 715, just like 715, just like they put it out.
Yep.
We all say 715
Yeah.
here, but 715 on the scoreboard and recreated that one. That was neat.
Maybe recreate the sneak in the ice bowl with something like that too. I mean, that would be really cool.
And of course they in the museum, there's that one thing, but to do that on Lambeau Field,
yeah, that would be flipping awesome.
Given that the spot, I mean,
you gotta do it at night. Take the lights down low and then do that. Oh, come on!
Ooh! Gosh.
Head policy. There's your first thing when you get officially, the job next week.
If they have a Cowboys, see now when was the last time the Packers? Look it up. I was going to say Packers, Cowboys all time.
When they
'Cause-
played against each other?
Yeah, the football database has like a very easy rundown of when they've played all time, but I'm trying to figure out when was the last time they played like a December game at no, December 13th, okay, of 2015. So it hasn't been that long. I was going to say, it feels like the Packers and Cowboys don't often play in really cold weather in the regular season.
That's true.
That's when you'd want to do it, a December or, well, it wouldn't be early January because that's divisional, division games at the end of the season. But that's when you would do it.
Yep. Like maybe like on a certain, like how many years later or such,
Well, let's see. So that would be 2 seasons from now. 2027 would be the
Yep.
60th anniversary. That might be a time to do something.
Let me just look up a random date here quick. Because we might just have made something really simple. Looking at a calendar.
And yeah, the only time that
December 31st is on a Friday in 2027.
Yeah. And I don't think they're going to be to 18 games by that point where they would potentially be in like a week 16 or something where you could pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not, but maybe.
Yep.
It's a good idea.
All right, let's do some stock reports. Whose stock is rising? Whose stock is falling? We will start with stock risers.
Well, we've pretty much been talking about them a lot. It's Major League Baseball right now. And not just because of the All-Star game. Again, the vibes were good, which is unusual for All-Star festivities nowadays. This one worked. Overall, I know the home run derby ratings were a little bit up. And yeah, I know there were extenuating circumstances last year with the convention going on. I have yet to see what the actual All-Star game numbers are. And it's possible they dip again, but we're also dealing with a linear TV decline, as we like to say. And yes, I know NFL will be like, yeah, whatever. We don't deal with that. I saw, Ryan Nanny from the Shutdown Fullcast, he joke last night on social media saying, next year the NFL should sponsor the MLB All-Star game.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But the overall season's going a lot better. Ratings overall are up. Keeping on ESPN. There seems to be more visibility about baseball this year. This is the first year. I don't want to make too grand a pronouncement, and it's just me, so any individual's vibes could be different. But I feel like this is the first really good year for baseball. I mean, you could have said a little last year with Shohei Ohtani and Judge, but where it really feels like, whoa, something's going right here. Maybe since around the McGuire-Sosa era, and I'm not comparing it directly to that, but that was the last time where you felt like, oh yeah, definitely baseball's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, so this kind of maybe goes in hand with my stock riser, Cal Raleigh. The season he's having, and it's like, okay, home run derby. It's like then he goes and wins that. I'm curious now. I'm just a little apprehensive how the swing is after a home run derby and such. Just being. We've had too much sample sizes of that. But I mean, for the longest time, we were like, oh, is the MVP race over with for AL and NL? I think Cal Raleigh's got something to say right now with what he's doing and such. So, I mean, yeah, and it's not a knock on Ohtani and Judge, all-time greats and such, and what Judge is doing is historic as well. But the fact that we're having more players involved, now, okay, maybe Cal's going to get some MVP considerations and such. And I think it was a good weekend overall for him. All-Star weekend, he plays in Seattle. You don't get to see him a whole lot. He goes to the home run derby, the leader in home runs, wins that thing like the home run leader probably should go out and win. Gets a hit, get to hear him a little bit mic'd up when he's talking with Scooble and so, or Scooble's talking to him and that. But I think Cal Raleigh, you got to hear a little bit more about for maybe a baseball nation that doesn't get to see him or maybe doesn't know a whole lot about him. It was a good few days for him for the big dumper.
That big is
for the big dumper. So
yes, I'll co-sign on that. That's a good one.
And I love the fact that his family, like his dad was the guy pitching for him in the home run derby and his brother was catching. So that was really cool.
All good vibes there. That was great. Absolutely.
All right, stock faller.
Say Brewer PR folks says, what the heck was that AI fans thing? Did you see a picture of that at American Family Field? I think it was during warm-ups, and they had the fantastic fans of the game. AI capitalized, and they had an AI Brewers
I
fan
did
on there.
not.
It was Kurt Hogg put it on Blue Sky, and I looked on
Okay.
Twitter to like, okay, there's got to be more. He didn't put it on Twitter. X, sorry. He put it on Blue Sky only. I'm like, what the? No, get that AI slop out of here, okay? Well, you've got 40,000 fans. I know not every game. You got all the thousands of fans. Don't make up freaking AI fans now. Leave that out. This is a bigger thing with the AI stuff. Can we not do that? I know it's a very small scale, but don't. Come on, guys. Read the room a little better. I mean, who's going to be the person that's like, yeah, awesome. There's a made-up fan with probably holding a baby and a tiger and the visage of Bob Euchre and think of all the wacky AI stuff you can come up with. So again, it's pretty small scale stuff, but it's the sort of thing I don't want to go to the ballpark and start seeing AI stuff showing up on the screen. You got plenty there.
Right. No, I did not hear about that.
When I started Googling it, and that's the thing, I didn't see too much. There was just a little bit that I saw in it. Probably because it was during like a warm up or something. Like, it must have been really early in the game. So, or not in the game, early in the day, probably during warm ups or something like that. So maybe it was a test to see what they could do during the game and see, hey, is anyone going to respond? And so hopefully Brewers PR saw that and it's like, no, let's just not do that ever again.
Yeah,
please.
I'm going to go stock faller golf, the golf world right now. For one, the Open begins here. We barely hear about it, but even like the comments from Scotty Scheffler. So just a couple of them, I'll read a little bit here what Scotty Scheffler said the other day. There's a lot of people that make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and you get there, you get to number one in the world, and they're like, what's the point? I really do believe that, because what is the point? Why do I want to win this tournament so bad? That's something that I wrestle with on a daily basis. Showing up at the Masters every year, it's like, why do I want to win this golf tournament so badly? Why do I want to win the Open Championship so badly? I don't know, because if I win, it's going to be awesome for 2 minutes. Then we're going to get to next week, and it's, hey, you won 2 majors this year. How important is it for you to win the FedEx Cup playoffs? And we're back here again. He also said to get to live out your dreams is very special. But at the end of the day, I'm not out here to inspire the next generation of golfers. I'm not out here to inspire someone to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? That's not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from the sense of the deepest places of your heart. I thought those were very interesting comments. It's almost a little Barkley-ish. We're saying, I'm not a role model.
It kind of is. And it's like the very existential point of like, what does really all this mean? Which I guess in a way is kind of refreshing, but then it does. Yeah, the golf vibes right now are not exactly like, wow, this is awesome. I mean, I know that the Schauffele story is kind of almost more funny than anything, of like, he doesn't know where his gold.
Yeah, he doesn't know where his gold medal or any of his trophies are.
Yeah,
which
that,
we've heard from other athletes before, like a Super Bowl ring. I remember Aaron Rodgers said one time, he's like, I think it's in my closet. Like, I don't know, maybe it's different for us fans. Like, oh, that would be displayed. I'd be over that, right there. And a lot of these athletes, like, yeah, it's somewhere.
I think they, well, and the thing is, remember, they don't get the trophy. It's not you don't have the Lombardi trophy for that season is sitting in your house.
They can buy a replica for a few $1,000 after that.
So then you start to get down to stuff like, here's your participation thing or whatever, and that's not going to stick around. And then the Oakmont thing with Wyndham Clark getting banned. I mean, because he broke the locker.
Yeah.
And then, it's just kind of quiet right now, but I like, so again, on the one hand, I'm like, okay, better perspective. Like, so you're the number one golfer in the world. What does that ultimately mean? I mean, we're getting like full on philosophical debate here. Okay. Does that mean? It probably doesn't mean all that much in society, but that does kind of make it sound like for the fan, how much should we care about this?
Because exactly, and I'm, and I appreciate his perspective and such, and like he said, if golf ever affected his family, started to affect it, he would be done playing golf, which I respect the heck out of, right? Because that should be the most important thing. But at the same time, it's like that is the total, what I think, the total opposite outlook. Maybe a guy like Kobe had, Jordan, Tiger freaking Woods.
Basketball is life. Golf is life.
Right. And we put those guys on the pedestals of like, oh, the ultimate competitor right there.
Mhm.
Like and this is kind of like the opposite. It's not the biggest thing.
It's weird because I see some parallels with music. And some of the best musicians of all time were the ones who lived and breathed it. Think like Prince, for example. And most of us probably have heard, even they don't have to be fans, but we've heard stories of how, and I mean this in a good way, maniacal he was about music creation. Well, that was to a fault. And with a lot of those people, it's usually to a fault. They focus so much. Michael Jackson, another story. You can go through a whole lot of those. The ones that seem to have more of the, you know what, we're kind of okay with it. I don't know. Maybe they don't end up being the greats. The people you just mentioned, they have, to varying degrees, they have maybe not the greatest, or had in Kobe Bryant's case, not the greatest off-court, off-field lives. Their personal lives they had their moments, shall we say.
T-Dub especially.
Yep. I think there might be, and again, not to get all philosophical, psychoanalytical here, but I think there's something that probably goes with that. Now, maybe Scheffler is maybe he's the unicorn. And occasionally you'll get that. Someone who's really, 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 really good at what they do. And they're also like a decent person. But then that's going to come out in phrases like, I don't know how big of a deal this really is. That's going to make it more difficult to root for Scottie Scheffler for some. Others probably is going to make him even more so.
Right.
But then there'll be others that you're not going to get as much passion about it. You're going to start to get sick of Scottie Scheffler. Oh, it's that guy. It just doesn't care as much.
Especially when you throw in the part about like, why do I care so much about winning the match? And he's not saying he doesn't care. He's just saying like, why do I care so much about winning the
golf fans that don't like that.
Right. And be like, how can you say that about Augusta? How dare you?
It means everything.
Right.
Oh, can you imagine what the Bryson fans are already thinking?
It's almost like Rob Manfred saying World Series trophy is just a piece of metal. It's like, no. Okay.
And again, big picture in the world, yes, it is a piece of metal. That's right. But understand, for the context of what you're dealing with here, if you're going to play baseball, that's what you play for. Or, I mean, they are getting paid. They are spending their career doing that. They could do another career, but they chose to play baseball. Rob Manfred, you are running the organization that allows them to play baseball. So, yeah, I guess golf is not in the super best spot. There's not going to be a Live PGA merger anytime soon, I guess. But then I guess maybe it's a good thing that the PGA and Live guys are buds. So I guess it could be worse.
It could be.
Yeah. But the Open is kind of like the US Open. It's sort of sneaking up on us.
Yep. I mean, then I know you got other tournaments and FedEx and that, but it's like, for me, historically, it's always been, PGA was always like, okay, that's the end of the golf season.
Yeah.
Now this is the last major. It kind of feels like it's the end of the golf season after this weekend.
I wonder what the weather's going to be this weekend. But rainy, perhaps?
Maybe. It better be if it's the Open. You gotta.
Let's see. So, weather forecast. Okay. All right. Straight from the Open's website. Weather forecast. What's the weather doing for the 153rd Open? That's a very UK way to put it. Dry start to Wednesday. Outlook. Thursday, cloudy, dry, maybe some rain. Friday, some showers, maybe in the afternoon. Rest of the championship remaining changeable. Again, the phraseology here. Yeah. Maybe some showers. So put it this way. Doesn't look like it's going to be too adverse.
Okay.
I don't think so from the official theopen.com.
All right.
Too adverse. There'll be rain, but
yeah,
you kind of, I would be disappointed going to the Open and not having some rain and wind.
Exactly.
There.
Yep.
Would you ever find a way to get over, given your issues with transportation?
If it were, I'd want to be at St. Andrews.
Of course.
That would be the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to go to like Scotland and, the birthplace of golf and try to find Loch Ness Monster and all that.
It could be
Just
good.
might have to knock me out. So
That's the problem.
my
Yes.
anxiety of traveling over water.
Fine with the Zan or whatever was that Drake quote about. Well, it's one of his
Mhm.
diss songs or something. I don't know.
I just saw this. Not to go sidetrack here. Kalen DeBoer. I don't know if this is a great way to say it. Alabama's head coach. Look at our schedule this year. We're playing Florida State and Wisconsin. We're into playing as many high-end games as possible. I don't know if those are
Well,
too great.
Okay. I mean, there's some years where that is, and there's others, but
apparently a Brewer fan. He was at the Brewers game a week and a half ago because they showed him on TV, and even Rock's like, "Why is he here wearing Alabama stuff?" So,
sure, there's a significant chunk of the Crimson Tide fan base is going, "Why aren't you working on good recruiting to them?" Okay.
well, especially now with the rumor that Nick Saban's looking to come back.
Gosh.
So,
yeah, that was like, okay, fine. I guess.
mhm.
Welcome to SEC Media Days.
Yep.
Good times. Good
So.
times.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more coming up after these few words. If it's time to get your vehicle in for some oil changes, maybe some brakes, or maybe you need just some work done on the engine and such, or maybe you need some new tires, you can get it all done in one place, and that's at our good friends AJM Automotive in Eau Claire, located at 1919 Brackett Avenue in Eau Claire. If you're checking and you see that little sticker in the top left corner of your vehicle, and it's like, oh, dude, it's time for an oil change. I'm overdue. Get your appointment in at AJM Automotive Services today by giving them a call, 715-835-9523. It's a good number to keep on hand, too, because in case you ever need a tow, they offer towing services as well, plus small engine repairs. They do it all at AJM Automotive in Eau Claire. So as we get set for the second half of the Major League Baseball season, outside of our favorite teams and such, what are some of the other storylines, or what are some of the other teams that you're kind of going to be following and paying attention to, maybe storylines in the second half of the season? Is it Aaron Judge continuing his historic numbers? Is it, can a team, like Toronto, finish this thing strong and win the AL East? What are some of the other storylines that you're going to be kind of following?
I mean, the nice thing is the Mizorowski story is a national story. So that dovetails with what we're all following in Western Wisconsin. Cal Raleigh's home run totals are probably one of my biggest watches right now. I saw what the stat on, was it like 3+ or 5+, or 3 or 5 or more 30+ home run hitters at the All-Star break, and it's only happened a handful of times. It was like 94, where it looked like we were going to break the mark that year. Was it 98 or 99? I think it might have been 99, the year after, like 2019, and then was it last year or 2 years ago? It doesn't happen often, and it's happening this year. So the notion of, could we actually get towards a Bonds sort of number? Could we get past the whole Aaron Judge, the American League home run record thing? But maybe we get that. So Raleigh's probably, outside of my fandom, I think that's one of the things to watch. I guess I'm kind of keeping an eye on the Rockies win total, but I think they might actually get above the amazing Mets at this point. And among that, what was it, like the 30? I think 38 wins was the percentage that they got to get to, something like that. 37 or 38 to get above the worst winning percentage. They might actually get there. So I'm kind of oddly watching that. Other than that, like the trade deadline, of course. And do the Cardinals give up more while the Brewers buy in more, which was what I think is going to happen? I think the Cubs are going to be more in on this one. So there's a lot of NL Central focused activity there, and the Dodgers injury situation,
right?
Which was not really a surprise going in, but dang, it really is happening.
I think you kind of hit on some of mine too. Definitely the Cal Raleigh thing. Like, I'm just, because it's not a name we expected, right? It's not the Judge, it's not the Ohtani and that sort of stuff. And plus he's a catcher. It's a catcher that's doing this,
right?
I mean, it sure seems like he's going to break Perez's record for most home runs by a catcher, right? I mean, that feels like that's a foregone conclusion. Right. But again, does the home run derby affect the swing at all? I don't know. We don't know yet. So, but I mean, that's a story for sure to be following along here. I look at, like, okay, Detroit team, are they going to end up with the most wins in Major League Baseball when it's all said and done? A team that at this point last year, we were saying sellers, Scooble's going to be gone. They're going to do all these trades. And now a year later, they've got the most wins in Major League Baseball by not making those types of moves.
They've had the best record in baseball for the last year's worth of games.
And so are they going to, finish this thing strong? I mentioned, the Blue Jays, that AL East race over there. I mean, the Yankees are second, but, Boston finished that on a hot note. Tampa Bay was up there at one point. They soured a little bit too, but, I'm looking at them. And then, obviously the central race between the Cubs and the Brewers. What if the Brewers do catch the Cubs and Brewers end up finishing in first again? I know this will be a little bit later, but would you say Pat Murphy could go back-to-back for Manager of the Year? I mean,
possible. Like maybe making an even stronger case for Matt Arnold, executive
for back-to-back. Yeah.
Let's see what happens to the deadline. That'll make a big difference in that. But gosh, the prospect of Jacob Mizorowski playing like significant playoff games, like playing an NLCS.
And if we keep it,
potentially.
just like a Brewers thing, to me, one of my concerns is going to be, or one of the questions maybe is, how do they manage his workload?
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, it'll be tempting to try to throw him out there as much as possible. But remember, this is a guy who I don't think, I'll have to double check, has not gotten over 100 innings in a season.
Right.
Probably going to this year, but how much more do you push that then?
Right.
You're
going to want him for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to get to the playoffs first.
Right.
The good news for the Brewers, and I know it's mid-July, but they're in a pretty good spot as is.
Mm-hmm.
My predictions are really bad on this, but I feel very good that the Brewers are going to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they're playing overall, the rest of the league, I mean, I keep waiting for someone like the Braves to finally go on that run, and it never happens.
Yep.
But maybe it does this year, and then the Brewers hit a rough spot and they're out. And you could have had Mizorowski 2 other times, and that's how they're out. But I'd rather keep him for later on and not have him either hit an innings cap. Okay, well, maybe we've already asked this question on the show, and I obviously wasn't on every day, so I don't know. But is there a certain innings cap where you go, yeah, we could have Jacob Mizorowski in the playoffs, but he's hit 100 innings. We're shutting him down, and it's September 29th. Sorry, he's out.
Well, yeah.
But do the Brewers do that for the long term? But what if they're the what if they have the division lead?
Place? Yeah.
If they have the division lead and they're the 2 seed going into the playoffs, do you then shut down Jacob Mizorowski because you go, yeah, but he could get blown up in the playoffs and wreck the rest of his career?
I'd hate to be the one that has to make that decision, Matt Arnold and
Mm-hmm.
Murphy and all those.
I don't think we're going to be in that situation.
That's almost kind of like the story with Jordan, like his second year when he was hurt or something, and he came back for the playoffs. Remember from the Last Dance, and he was on a minutes restriction.
Yeah,
and he hated it, but they like, nope, you're done. Sort of. It's kind of similar to that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's like, what do you do? Because you'd want to, and it's a variation. And again, this is a hypothetical. We don't know if we're going to confront this. But it's a variation of do you go all in this season versus maybe stand pat, but that way you have a whole lot of opportunities going down the road, but you don't know what any of those seasons are going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. I guess that's also a good problem to have, kind of, but it's good. It could be a problem. So I guess let's see if something like that ends up happening, where Mizorowski matters that much that we're like, ooh, should he keep pitching?
Yeah, that's going to definitely be something to kind of keep an eye on. And definitely I'm nervous about it. Yeah. And maybe that kind of I mean, we're speculating now, but does that factor into potentially, because, with the Brewers and the trades and all that, they're like, oh, they got a plethora of starters, but does that also affect that where if they do have a innings cap in mind or something, where they hold on to those starters because they know they want to keep Mizorowski fresh?
I think that's what they would end up doing, as opposed to like what I keep thinking, like there's a football analogy here, like a certain snap count or something like that, where you can't have a guy play over X amount of time or something. I mean, the pitch counts are the obvious ones.
Yep.
But
yeah, we've heard players be on snap counts and minutes restrictions and stuff. So
I'm guessing.
Are we going to start to see 3-inning outings from Mizorowski leading up to the postseason?
I wonder. Really? Like, or does he turn into a Andrew Miller style mid-game guy? Like, okay, let's give him some different scenarios here, because that may come up too.
Yeah.
I wonder if they do a little bit of maneuvering, try to be creative. Like, I think the Brewers would rather have him available this year than not in the playoffs. They would rather not do sorry, he's hit the prescribed amount of da-da-da-da-da-da. That's a little too clinical, given what he can bring to the team. There's more upside with a good Mizorowski than not, ultimately.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be an intriguing, I think, fun second half to this baseball season. When you look at some of these races, I mean, the AL East for one. I mean, Tampa is in fourth; they're just 5.5. I think we should by now never really sleep on Tampa.
And I know they've been a little rough lately, but they're
But
still above 500. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no offense, but I think the Central is probably in hand with the Tigers.
Over.
So
Done, as you would say.
done.
Yeah.
AL East, we'll see if Seattle can catch up to them. I mean, Texas is one game under 500, but the Astros, they're 16 games above 500 at this point. But I mean, you got and coming up on the 18th right away, it's Seattle and Houston with the series. So
that's a fascinating one.
The East, I mean, the back and forth between the Mets and the Phillies is going to be something to watch.
I don't think that's ending. That's good.
And obviously the Central with the Cubs and the Brewers, Cardinals, they're not completely out of it. They're still 5 games above 500. Cincinnati's 3 games above 500. So
do they really figure themselves out? Remember, I had the Reds winning the division. A lot of people were high on them.
Mm-hmm.
But do they ultimately go on a run? I feel like we should be more, if you're a Brewers fan, be more scared of the Reds than the Cardinals, or not the Pirates, obviously.
Right.
But
I mean,
they're the ones.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they got all that young talent and Terry Francona. It's just they haven't been that consistent yet.
Something's not quite clicking.
The
West,
West,
I think there's more to come.
Yeah, and I mean the West. I mean the Diamondbacks have kind of fallen off now. So, but
and let's see where those players go. I think there'll be at least a couple bigger Diamondbacks, and they try to reset themselves. Who gets those guys? Do the Cubs get one of those guys? I don't know that they're connected right now. I think there's a better chance that some of those are going to go over to like the Yankees or so.
Yeah,
but what does that do, and does that screw up the Brewers' plans ultimately? Could happen.
Because you look at the National League wild card race right now. I mean, Brewers are in the top spot. Then it's the Mets. Then it's the Padres. The Giants are just a half game out. Cardinals are just 1.5 out. Cincinnati's just 2.5 out. But then it's drops to Arizona, who's 5.5 out. And we're kind of saying that's maybe where the line is.
Yeah.
Where, that buy and sell line.
Yeah. I think, if you're under 500, I think you're probably in sell territory, even if you're like 1 game under. Like at this point, you'd have to have some other extenuating circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're coming out of an injury, or like you had just had a rough patch. Like, we're better than this. Beyond, like, say, the Braves, they're the ones where we keep going, come on, they're going to be good, right? Right? And they're not. I don't think they're good enough to go on a full-scale run. I know there's usually like one team that gets white hot starting right around now.
Which was the Tigers last year.
Right. And maybe it's the Red Sox now. That I have a feeling it's some. Well, I know the Red Sox were talked up as well. So maybe they really are.
I had them going to the World Series.
Yeah. So maybe it's happening in real time, or that team is about to come out. And like I said, maybe it's Atlanta. Because if it is Atlanta, that has big implications for the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they've got too many injuries. I don't see it happening. So who is that team? And maybe this is the year that doesn't happen. And we're mostly whomever we see at the top right now is that. But that does mean Arizona's selling. Atlanta, I know they say no fire sale. They're not going to do a fire sale. Come on. But I think they might do a sell here or there.
Mm-hmm.
One sale, perhaps.
Yeah. Like Acuna's not going anywhere.
No.
All right. We got to take our final break, and then we'll start to wrap up things coming up after these quick words. Looking for somewhere to hang out with some good foods, a good environment, listening to some live local music, and just all in all has a ton of events going on and just a lot of fun to be at. That's VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Make sure to follow and like their Facebook page, check out their daily specials, and they've always got some bands playing on the weekends too, especially with summer. Why wouldn't you want to hang out on that back patio looking over the river in Dells Pond over there? It's VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Since we don't have any baseball games to be picked, we're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ESPYs tonight.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
So we'll make our predictions for some of their categories. We're not going to do them all, but I got them up here. So,
okay.
Best athlete, men's sports. Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, or Shohei Ohtani.
Okay. So it's...
If you want, you could do it this way. You can pick who you think it'll be, and you can pick who you would vote for. Okay. If you want to do it, if it's different.
All right. So, again, it is the best athlete.
For the men's side. Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, or Shohei Ohtani.
For the last year, see, like, okay, who's making the... Is it fan votes?
I don't think it is.
I was going to say, because that could be Ohtani winning, because basically you have Japan voting like en masse. And that's not, I mean, we've seen that happen before, but would be a good choice still. Gilgeous-Alexander has the recency bias.
Okay, so fan votes do count for ESPY Awards. However, not all categories are determined exclusively by fan voting. Okay.
I'm going to say I think Shohei wins.
I'm going to go Shohei as well. And honestly, I probably would vote for him too. Yeah. So, best athlete women's sports. Simone Biles, Gabby Thomas. Is it AJ Wilson? Asia Wilson. And Sydney McLaughlin-Levron, track and field.
I'm thinking probably Simone Biles. I know it's been a year since the Olympics. The three of these are basically from late July, early August, right after the last ESPY, so they count. But Simone Biles.
I am going Simone Biles as well. Best breakthrough athletes. Cooper Flagg, Chloe Humphrey, Iona Mayer, Paul Skeens.
I mean, it's Flagg versus Skeens. Let's be real. I think Cooper Flagg, because that's been more of a breakthrough. Like Skeens was kind of a big thing a year ago. I think it'll probably be Cooper Flagg.
I'm going to go Paul Skeens.
I could see either one, though, getting it.
I'm going to go Paul Skeens. I mean, he's like a little over one calendar year into his career, and he's already got 2 all-star starts. I mean, yeah. Best record-breaking performance. Gino Auriemma, Caitlin Clark, Kevin Durant for Olympic basketball, or Alexander Ovechkin.
I think Ovi.
Yep.
I could see Caitlin Clark winning, but and Gino Auriemma is probably worthy given that's the all-time wins mark. But I think Ovechkin wins.
Ovi, because it got I think a little bit more attention too, because it was over Wayne Gretzky and such. Right. So yeah, I'm gonna go Ovechkin. Best championship performance. Simone Biles in the 2024 Olympics women's all-around. Steph Curry, U.S. men's Olympic basketball team. Freddie Freeman with the Dodgers. Rory McIlroy winning the first Masters title, completing the career Grand Slam.
Oh boy,
these are good ones.
Right? Tough one. Best championship performance. Okay. I'm torn. I'm a 3-way torn between Freeman, Curry, and Biles. Curry kind of saved them. Freeman's home runs are like, what is he doing? Biles was absolute excellence. I think I'm going to say Curry because there's a little bit of a, while he's doing it at the end of his career thing. So I'm going to pick Curry.
I've between 2, Freeman and Rory. That's who I'm between. Freddie Freeman, what he did when that World Series was awesome, and the fact that it was also against the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there was a little less drama in that series. Like the Dodgers just had their way with the Yankees, but Freddie Freeman was flipping awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Rory though.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Rory because remember, the Masters did go extra,
Right.
so I'm gonna go with that. Best comeback athletes: Lindsey Vaughn, Mallory Swanson, Suni Lee, Gabe Lenskog.
Landeskog, yeah. It was a pretty big comeback for Landeskog. I think, and this is going to be in part because of the high profile of it, getting up to getting a gold, and it's Suni Lee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll go that one too. Just a couple more here. Best play: Saquon Barkley's backwards hurdle. Tyrese Halliburton calls game in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Sabrina with that logo 3. I forgot about the logo 3
Yeah.
game winner in the WNBA Finals Game 3. Trinity Rodman with the OT goal to send the U.S. women's national team to the semifinals in the 2024 Olympics.
I think it's the least significant, but I think it's the backwards hurdle.
Yep.
Because it's the most memorable one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that one wins.
I am going to go with that one too.
I could see that the Halliburton one, and there's some recency bias with that, obviously. But yeah, Barkley, I think gets that one.
I am going to go with that one too. So let's do best team: Florida Panthers, the Dodgers, the Liberty, the Buckeyes of Ohio State, Oklahoma City Thunder, the Eagles, the North Carolina Tar Heels women's lacrosse team, the United States women's national team soccer, Yukon Huskies.
Okay. Trying to move on here. I was like trying to make my pick on here, and it keeps making me watch the video. I'm like, no, can I do? I'm just going to skip this. Okay, so that list, best team overall. So again, Yukon women's national soccer team, women's lacrosse from UNC, Eagles, the Ohio State, Liberty, the Dodgers, the Panthers, the Thunder. Are Florida Panthers, I'm going to say. Which they weren't they were a machine by the end.
Yeah.
I'll say them.
I'm between two of them. The Thunder or the Dodgers. I mean, just the Thunder were so good all season long. They got close in the NBA Finals. Playoffs were a little bit closer. I'm going to go Dodgers. I'm just going to go Dodgers.
I think that's like the safe choice.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm at. This one's kind of interesting. The best college athlete, men's sports, Cooper Flagg, Wyatt Hendrickson, Oklahoma State Wrestling, Travis Hunter, CJ Kirst, Cornell Lacrosse.
Admittedly, this is where I'm really hoping that these are experts voting, not the fans, because the fans are going to be like, "Oh, so Cornell." Come on, the people who know would know. But I'm going to go, admitting my ignorance in some of these. I'll say Cooper Flagg.
The Wyatt Hendrickson one would be really intriguing. I think he absolutely deserves it because, if you don't know the story, go back. Between two for me is Cooper and Travis Hunter, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am going to go, actually, Travis Hunter, just because of him playing both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy.
Solid pick.
I'm going to go Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
How about on the women's side? Juju Watkins, Gretchen Walsh, Kate Foss, and Olivia Babcock.
I'm going to guess Watkins wins.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's going to be a certain amount of a name ID thing here, regardless of, is she the most deserving?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's not a bad choice, but I think that's the one that's going to end up winning that one.
Just four more. We're going to cruise through these. Best NFL player: Josh Allen, Saquon, Lamar, Patrick Surtain. That one was like, what?
Patrick Surtain. Okay,
is that the right Patrick that they got in there?
Let's see. So he's again. You said
Allen, Barkley, Jackson, Surtain.
Let's see. I'll say Barkley. I'm not sure that that's the right one, but I wonder if there's a little bit of a Barkley thing going on right now.
Yeah, a lot of times it's the MVP they'll give it to, which would be Josh Allen.
Yeah, but I think he's the other likely one.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go. I think it should be Barkley though.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be Allen. I'd vote for Barkley. I think it'll be Allen. MLB player: Freeman, Judge, Ohtani, Skubal.
Wow. I think it's going to be Aaron Judge. I can make a pretty strong case for Tarek Skubal, but Judge's numbers are all. We've talked about this before. How it's like,
Well, no,
what?
this is for last year, though.
Oh, it's true. That's right.
Otani had the 50-50.
Yeah. Judge is still really good, though.
Mhm.
And Skubal got hotter. I'd still say Judge.
I'm going to go Otani. NHL. Let's just, okay.
Kucherov,
Yeah.
Makar, Draisaitl, or Hellebuyck. I think Leon Draisaitl wins from Edmonton.
Okay, I'll go with you. NBA player, Giannis, Shai Gilgeous, and Jokic, Tatum.
And it's not going to be Giannis, not going to be Tatum, so it's SGA or Jokic. I think SGA wins.
I'm going to go SGA too because of the MVP. And then finally, best WNBA player, Caitlin Clark, your Minnesota Lynx,
Nafisa Collier.
Brianna Stewart, and then Wilson from the Aces.
Doesn't Caitlin Clark kind of have to win this one? If you're talking the actual best, I mean, now last season, Asia Wilson, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking the last calendar year, it's Collier. If we're talking the one, it would be
moves the needle.
Clark. Yeah, that would be the one. So I guess it depends on. Because some of the things they were saying were from things that happened a few months ago. But I'll say best WNBA player. Screw it. I'm saying Nafisa Collier. I'm going to go Homer here, but I can back it up.
I'm going to go Wilson. So, all right.
Good choices. They're good choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark goes winless at the ESPYs.
Wow. Oh, boy. See? The backlash continues.
Yep, get ready for all the talking heads. It's going to happen. All right. Just right before the buzzer, too. That's going to do it for us. Don't forget tomorrow, Thursday and such, get your questions in for Jake Books, our outdoor DNR award, and I'm sure you got plenty. So start to text those on in. He'll be joining us tomorrow to answer all of your questions. DP Danitz are up next. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back same place, same time tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Talk to you then.